Welcome to the United States Capitol. This year marks the 200th anniversary of the birth of Frederick Law Olmsted, regarded as the father of American landscape architecture. It was in 1873 that Congress commissioned Olmsted to design the grounds here at the U.S. Capitol. My name is Matt Erickson. I'm an education specialist here with the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center, and I'm joined by two very special guests this morning on this little wet spring morning. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out this morning to talk about Olmsted and his vision here at the U.S. Capitol. If you would tell our folks at home, what is your role here at the U.S. Capitol?
My name is Marty Shore. I've been here at the AOC since 2007, and I am a preservation architect in the Design Services Division, and I've been studying about Olmsted since 2010.
My name is Michael Jarboe. I'm the assistant supervisor for the Capitol Grounds Mason Shop. Got started here in 2014. And our role is to take care of the grounds at the Capitol stonework.
Marty, can you tell us where we are here on the U.S. Capitol grounds?
Yes, they're in Capitol Square, which is designed by Frederick Law Olmsted. It's 58 acres, but right now we're in the northeast quadrant. And this, as you see, traffic coming up this way leads to the East Plaza, which was the loading area and the entrance area for folks who worked here.
So gentlemen, we're talking this morning about Olmsted's hardscape designs here on the Capitol grounds. When we think about landscape architecture, we often think about trees and plants and flowers. But can you tell our visitors at home, what do we mean when we talk about hardscapes? What does that mean?
Yeah, when you introduced Frederick Law Olmsted, you said he was the father of American landscape. Well, landscape includes plants, shrubs, trees, but it also includes hard surfaces like walkways and paths and streets and walls and steps, which are as important in the Capitol in Olmsted's design as the landscape. But we have to take care of them because they're over 150 years old. So our mason shop does a lot of repairs on them when needed.
Absolutely. The greatest thing about this job is, being able to put this stuff back to where it was originally. That takes a lot. We have guys in the shop that are experts at brick, concrete, stone, and the cleaning end of it. This job is really tough because we have to know a lot to do this job, and that's been great because actually it's held up really well.
So as you're talking about the importance of hardscapes, it seems like it's really necessary to have the hardscapes complement the natural features, right? So can you tell us what type of materials was Olmsted thinking about in his designs here on the grounds?
Yeah, when Olmsted thought about the Capitol grounds, he was told to put the Capitol on a base, a strong foundation. And that base is made out of mostly Vermont marble. There's some granite as well from Maine or Vermont. And really, he was thinking about how to get into the Capitol from the west. So he made a giant monumental staircase there. And that's probably the greatest concentration of marble and granite on the campus.
So it's really interesting that we're able to incorporate materials from other portions of the country.
Yes. And he actually chose materials that were reddish and bluish so that it had a sort of a patriotic theme.
So as we've talked about this morning, some of the features here are well over 150 years old now, right? So Mike, can you tell us about some of the efforts that you and your team do to kind of help maintain and preserve Olmsted's vision here on the grounds?
Absolutely. So our crew is not a big crew in the Capitol grounds, but we have a construction division. So some of the projects that are too big for us to handle, we'll get together with the construction division and they'll help us rebuild. Like on First Street, there was some movement in the stone. We took off all the granite cap, fixed all the loose stones, put the granite back, but honestly, that looks great. I mean, as far as chips and cracks, minimal. So that's been great to be able to put it back without having to reorder because there's no more that we can find. So that's how we keep it going.
So it really sounds like a monumental task to really keep Olmsted's vision alive.
It is, and some of the cool things that the preservationist has recommended was to make the mortar for the joints a little pour. That way, that breaks down before the stone does, and that's been going great. And I really think that's one of the key things to keep the marble from getting totally destroyed.
And one of the neat things about this isn't modern construction. This is old construction. So each of these stones weighs hundreds of pounds. And the walls are 2.5 feet thick. And to repair it, we had to take it apart. But what Olmsted devised to lift the stones was an old Roman technique called Lewis pins, where holes were put in at an angle and steel pins were put in, and then our lift could take them up easily with a rope. So this is old construction. This is Roman construction. And our masons really have to learn new tricks.
Absolutely. I mean, you learn to appreciate what these stonemasons did 150 years ago with hammers, chisels. You know, we didn't have the tools that we're lucky to have today. Cranes, you know, bobcats to lift stuff. We have everything we need. Makes our job safe and easy. Just thinking back, every time I look at a piece of stone that's got the rough back where you don't see it, that was chiseled for hours and days to make one piece. Really awesome.
Marty, so if folks are coming to explore the Capitol grounds, what are some of the unique features that they might encounter on their exploration?
Well, Olmsted was a genius. Here he was adding a landscape in the Victorian era of the middle 19th century to the strictly classical building of the Capitol. But at that time, in the mid-1800s, the city of Washington was really growing and expanding and becoming a smoky industrial city, very densely packed. So as a Victorian, light and air were very important to Olmsted, and he thought parks were an essential part of the experience, the human experience in cities. After he designed Central Park, which is really called the lungs of New York, they brought him here to do the same, to make a gracious landscape appropriate to this building, the Capitol. So he did everything in his power to create a very idiosyncratically designed Victorian landscape, but still make it so that the Capitol is the central part. And he did that through the way he designed the walls, the kinds of plants he chose, the symmetrical pathways that still had curvilinear circulation. And he also was somebody who really thought very hard about how he wanted people to see the Capitol. So he put certain areas, trellises on either side, where he thought the best views of the Capitol were. And that's where he wanted the pedestrians to sit and look at the Capitol. And he did that in a Victorian wrought iron metal, which is, you know, they didn't have that when they were designing this building. So he's bringing the spirit of Victorian architecture and technology into this classical building. And he did it without bringing attention to what he did. He did it so subtly and ingeniously, he accomplished his task.
So it sounds like he was very intentional about sort of designing the visitor experience here on the grounds.
Yes, yes. He wanted to just make it a very pleasant park in the city, a public park in the city. And he wanted it to look like a natural park. There was no formality to the strict symmetry of the building. He wanted to just loosen things up a little bit and make it a little bit more pleasant for the pedestrians.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out this morning and really sharing a lot of really interesting information about Olmsted's design here.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you to our viewers at home for joining us on this Capitol Ground Spotlight. Be sure to check out our other videos highlighting Olmsted here in this 200th anniversary of his birth.